Hello, Dean Garrity here. Welcome to the 1996 AMS show video, the long version. And here we are, we're arriving at the showground, usually very early in the morning. Doors used to open for exhibitors at 7 AM, I believe, the side entrance, which is where we're heading to now. This is the Staffordshire showground. Bingley Hall is just one of quite a number of halls on that showground, and here we are arriving into the hall now, just gone 7 o'clock according to the clock there on the car. Still quite early. Some people already in there setting up. You could actually, as I recall, set up the afternoon before, and the show organisers provided overnight security for your goods, but we never did that because you'd obviously have to stay in the area overnight, and frankly I didn't trust the security people. And here we are. We're setting up now, getting ready for the day, setting up the kit. Always a difficult moment. This are the disk drives still working? You transported them a few $100 down the road early in the morning in the back of the van. Are the heads still going to be in alignment? Is it still going to work? Paul Saunders on the left, Richard Gore on the right. There, my helpers for the day. And there's our stand ready to go. We had quite a few non-Atari bits and pieces that day, actually. As you can see there, they were actually PC CD-ROMs. A little bit of hardware there, mostly our software. There's our advertising boards on the back. Always trying to get those to stick to the walls in Bingley Hall was quite a challenge. Blue tack, tape, parcel tape, everything never worked. Always ended up falling off. Derek Fern, micro discount, setting up there off in the distance. Rather wonky camera work, unfortunately. We'd zoomed quite far. He was quite far away from us. As I think most people probably know, Derek actually cleaned out Atari's UK warehouses, sort of very late 80s, early 90s, and had a tremendous amount of stuff out of Atari's warehouses. I remember in 1990 he was selling off pretty much all the hardware that had been sent back to Atari's warehouses over the previous few years from retailers for quite a cheap price rather. And that's the London Atari computer enthusiast there for the Atari flag. Here's Derek's stand now from the front. As you can see, he's got a tremendous amount of stuff, a lot of software from Atari's warehouses, a lot of hardware. He had some brand new 1020 plotters actually there, as you can see. I think I know where he got those from, because the chap actually phoned me a few days before and asked me if I wanted them, and they were brand new, but I never quite understood where that guy had got them from. That's the Tyne and Weir Atari Users Group, TWORG. And they had their bits of hardware. I think they were modified bits of hardware that they had there that they put together, and some of their software and bits and pieces. Yeah, certainly the hardware there. It looks like their back copies of their magazines, newsletters, and such like were there. Page 6 were not there this year. They'd been somewhat stalwarts of previous years, but I think by the later years, certainly 96 where we are now, they'd probably I think they had actually decided that there were nothing really worth going for anymore. It had become fewer and fewer people turning up to these things than in previous years. He's got some cartridges there, Derek, for 25p, and some discs for £1. That's certainly a good deal for having a route through there before the show opens. Always get there first, before the general masses enter the building. So there's the 1020 plotter up there. That's and some PC stuff, actually, some Windows stuff. Absolute traitor. Couple of 810 disk drives there. And some old, looks like some PCBs from some 1050 drives. And here we are. The show would open, what time were it? I can't remember. I think it was 10 o'clock, something like that. 9:30, 10 o'clock the show would open. And everybody would flood. Trickling their way down towards us, usually from Derek's stand first, unfortunately, but that's the way it was. And then they'd trickle down, hopefully with still a little bit of money in the pocket, towards our stand. I don't know if anybody recognises themselves. There's quite a few people milling around. some of these people came to see us every year. There's with a bag over the shoulder. Oh, here he is. I'm sure we all recognise this chap here. This was Football Fantasies, and he'd come up and approached us at the show and asked us if we wanted to take it on. I said, certainly, let's have a look at it. And he said after demonstrating it for us, which was very nice. Here I am now. We're on one of the balconies looking down onto the show floor. Sometime probably later in the day, middle of the later in the day, when we'd when the footfall of punters had calmed a little bit. Quite high up here, actually. It's difficult to say from the top from the camcorder just how high up we are, looking down onto the to the mass of people. And quite precarious when I lean over the railings in a moment to try and get some shots. I nearly went head first right over the railings. That could have been a disaster, especially for the people below. We can spot ourselves. We're actually right over on the left-hand side from where, straight under the balcony here would be the front doors to the showground, which was the public entrance. And so here we are looking down. There's me leaning over now. I had to wedge my feet underneath the bottom of the railings to stop myself from going head first over into the crowd. A lot of by this point in time, it had become the all micro show. It started off as the alternative micro show and was strictly open to alternative older 8-bit machines, which included the Atari, Oric, Spectrum, MSX, and anything that at that point by late 80s had become old, classic, as we say now. But by this point in time, it was basically just a general computer show. So most people there were selling PCs at the time, things like accessories, discs, disc boxes, mouse mats, those kind of things. A lot of monitors for sale, proper CRT monitors, no LCD then. Well, not really. There's Lace, London Atari Computer Enthusiast there, and there's our stand. Off in the distance, just keeping an eye on what everybody's up to. And you can see most of the general computer stands dotted around the place. Later on in the video, we'll be walking around on the floor itself, so you'll be able to see more of what people had for sale that day. Still quite a crowd at this point in time. Didn't time the videos at that point, so I don't know actually what time this was. The crowd, I think the show used to close around about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so the crowd used to sort of peter out sort of 2:30. By 3 o'clock, you're pretty much walking around on your own. A few stragglers looking for bargains, sell it to me cheap, or save taking it home kind of thing. Here we are down on the floor now, over towards where our stand is there behind it. We actually had some people looking. That's very nice of them. So we'll just have a wander around now on the floor and see who's got what, really. Yeah, there's London Atari Computer Enthusiast again. You can see their flag. I don't know where they got that Atari flag. I never did bother to ask. Seems quite an unusual item to have. Here we are. You see, look, there's some odd bits and pieces of accessories and equipment that people were selling. There were also people selling non-computer gear as well. There were some like craft type stands. People selling sort of music CDs, that kind of thing. I think one or two sort of charity type things there. The organisers of the show, a guy called Ray, Sharwood Computer Services. A guy called Ray used to be the man in charge. That's certainly who I dealt with. There, you see, they're selling sort of just telephones, because it was open to a sort of electronic enthusiasts as well. So there were lots of stands selling sort of test equipment and screwdriver sets and soldering gear and circuit boards and dodgy satellite viewing cards and things like that. You could pretty much get anything. It was an absolute Aladdin's cave. At the time, some beautiful old CRTs. I mean, this was 1996, so as far as PCs were concerned, we were still in the world of floppy drives and hard drives in the megabytes rather than the gigabytes. I think we just about got into gigabytes at that point, if you could afford it. Yeah, I mean, these chaps have got some sort of like test equipment. That's the Bingley Arms over there, which is the pub. I'm not sure it was ever open. There was a cafe upstairs. Never went up there either. We were far too busy. We used to bring our own food. We were quite well known actually for bringing hundreds of sandwiches. Often we used to have to, take them back home and freeze them. I'm not going to throw them away. Far too much of a cheapskate for that. Yeah, the cafe there it is. It actually says bar and restaurant there, so you can go up the stairs to the cafe. This is quite late in the day, so as you can see, most people have pretty much gone home. Just a few stragglers left around. This is sort of time when we could go off for a wander and see what other people had. This is the non-Atari section. The Atari people were always sort of clumped together in one section, and the organisers always knew, that's probably the best thing to do for us. Again, this is generalised PC people selling sort of self-built systems. It's sort of something that you don't really get much anymore. I mean, these days you just go and buy a cheap laptop, but at this point in time, you would still buy, graphics cards, soundboards, and put the things together yourself. And here we are. It's now time to pack all the stuff up and to go home. There's the London guys getting all their stuff. I don't know how much stuff they sold, but they seem to be packing quite a lot back into the car. Not a very flattering angle there. Sorry, I can't remember the chap's name. We knew him quite well there. There's one of our guys there. That's Paul saying something. No publicity, I think you were saying, or something like that. We're back to Derek Fern's stand now. And, I don't know how much they'd sold, but they seem to have quite a lot left. I mean, this 1996 were quite late on in the Atari tenure at this show. 1997 was the last one I ever did. We got an opportunity at the very last minute, because I was working away at the time, to literally a week before, to take a stand at the 97 show. That was an absolute complete disaster, and the very last one I ever did, virtually nobody turned up. As far as Atari, I think there were me, and maybe, I don't even think there was a second stand. I think it was literally me. And nobody bought anything. I think we went back with everything we brought. We maybe sold £50 worth of stuff, and the stand and the petrol and the everything else cost probably three, 4 times that. So that was a complete waste of time. So it was pretty much over by that point. You could see the number of people falling over the years. The best shows were definitely early 90s. Sort of 92, 91, 92, 93 were good ones. Beyond that, it started to get a little bit ropey. And it's there we are, leaving now for the day, and off home now. And that should probably take us a couple of hours back to where I was at the time. And there we are. Thanks to Richard Gore and Paul Saunders for always turning up and helping out. And don't forget, we're still around, and you can visit the website shown there and have a look around. And thanks for watching, everyone. Thank you.